This guy right here is Apple's brand new iPad. It's expensive. It's 1,000 Canadian rupees, or about 800 bucks if you're in Los Angeles. Why did I say Los Angeles? If you're in the United States. It's a lot of money to ask for. So this thing needs to do everything a laptop can do to be worth it, or there has to be specific applications that take advantage of the new hardware. The brand new Apple Pencil has been redesigned to work with the brand new iPad Pro, but unfortunately, it does not work with the older one, or the older one doesn't work with the newer one either. Okay, so first up, we got some paperwork, and of course, the brand new Apple Pencil. Based on my first impressions, it feels a lot like the original Apple Pencil 1. It's nice and round, it's a little bit lighter, and it doesn't have a glossy feel to it like this one does. This is more like a matte finish. But one of the biggest complaints I've heard about this pencil is from artists that it feels too light. It doesn't have that heft. So when you're drawing for long periods of time, your hand kind of gets uncomfortable. Ah, beautiful. What the heck? There we go. Wow. This feels very square, especially compared to the original iPad 1, which I have right here. Not the best plastic removal experience, but it will do. So you got more instructions. iPad Pro instructions, we don't really care about that. Come on, where's the stickers at? Holy! These stickers are actually big, quite big. Look at that, USB Type-C charger. Did I ever think I'd see this day? Every time you open up an iPhone or the older iPad Pros, it's a lightning charger, but we finally have USB Type-C. And for those of you iPhone users out there, this is what a fast charger would look like. USB Type-C cable. So now you only have to carry one cable to charge your Android device and iPad if that's what you carry on a daily basis. But if you're an Apple user and use an iPhone, you'll definitely have to carry your Lightning cable as well. So that's pretty much it for the unboxing experience, but I just want to give you guys a side-by-side comparison of the brand new iPad Pro with the older iPad Pro. So a lot of people are complaining that the new one is kind of ugly. And I get what they're saying. They're saying because it doesn't have a bezel-less display. On the previous iPad, you have smaller bezels on the side, bigger bezels on the top and bottom, giving it more of a tablet feel. This kind of feels like more of a reference design, but I don't hate it. I just think it doesn't look as refined as traditional Apple products should be. On the back, it looks very familiar. So this is 10.5, this is 11 inches, but yet it's still smaller. You still have the camera bump up top. You have these atrocious antenna lines, or lines for your Wi-Fi signal, which kind of reminds me of the old iPhone 6S. You have your keyboard connectors on the bottom instead of the side like they do on the traditional one. So I finally got the iPad set up, and the first thing that I noticed is that Touch ID is completely gone. I actually don't mind Face ID on the iPad just because by the time you pick up the iPad, due to its size, and you face it at you, you're automatically logged in. With Touch ID, or when you have to press it, because it's a bigger device, you have to extend your finger all the way over to the left or right to log yourself in, which is a lot harder to do than your traditional smartphone. The next thing is the speakers. I want to know which iPad sounds better, so let's do a speaker test. Okay, so based on my sound test, they sound pretty much exactly the same. If anything, the newer iPad Pro is a little bit more bassier, but overall it's pretty much an equal tie. Camera. For those of you that don't know, there's actually a really good camera on the back of the new iPad Pro. It's the same camera that's being used in the iPhone XR. So I can expect a lot of parents buying this thing, taking it to weddings and snapping photos because they can utilize that 11-inch display. Who knows, maybe going forward, I'm gonna carry an iPad to take pictures. So first up is the front-facing camera. It actually has portrait mode, which is kind of impressive. And then of course, we have the rear-facing camera. So I just want to circle back to the new Apple Pencil for a second. I love the fact that you can actually attach it to the side of the iPad Pro. This will make your life so much better because you won't lose the pen. When you attach it, as soon as you attach it, you get a little symbol on the top. It tells you exactly how much the pen needs to be charged to 100%. So much easier than that awkward situation on the old iPad Pro where you had to stick the pen in the bottom. I mean, like, who designed this? Could you imagine you're at the coffee shop, you're just reading away just like this, and you have a pen sticking out the top of your iPad? Like, what are you gonna do? Start jabbing people if they get too close to your coffee? Now, in terms of strength, it's pretty strong. It sticks to the side. It reminds me of the force of the Surface Pro, so you can shake it a little bit. It's not gonna fall off. But obviously, if I start getting a little aggressive, it will fall off the side. But at least you have the option of keeping that pen directly connected to your iPad. The next cool thing about the pen is the ability to tap on it. So if I load up the Notes app, for example, let's say I write my name, and I made a mistake, I can double tap on the pen, it'll switch to the eraser, then I can erase it. And you can do this with certain applications, and developers can program things to take advantage of it. But the tap action doesn't feel intuitive. Because your hand is in the writing position, lifting up this finger feels weird. I would have rather they placed buttons on the side. The next thing is performance. Inside of here is the A12X, and by far it's the most powerful tablet hardware you can get, period. In fact, it's almost or is as powerful as the Xbox One S. Apple is pretty much just showing off at this point. But the problem is, it's being bottlenecked by iOS. iOS requires you to jump through hoops to do certain things. Have you ever tried connecting a USB storage drive to this thing? You can't just have a file manager for it. It has to be in a certain application. You can only access your camera photo apps or your camera photos. It just doesn't make sense. Until developers create full-fledged desktop experiences on a tablet, the hardware is being wasted. The one thing I have to say though, is if you're everybody else, be careful. Don't go out and spend tons of money on this thing if at the end of the day, this is gonna become a glorified Netflix machine, because that's an expensive Netflix machine, and you're better off buying a cheaper regular iPad. Now, this is my first impressions. I have a lot of work to do in my full review. If you want your question answered, let me know in the comments down below, or hit me up on my Discord server, and I'd be happy to talk to you there. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.